Detroit Lions minicamp is officially underway, and after 2 days of getting to see the team practice and play and compete, we have quite a few players that are already starting to separate themselves from the pack, and a couple players that are unfortunately falling behind. But today, we're going to take a look at the major takeaways from days 1 and 2 of Detroit Lions mandatory minicamp, talk about the good, the bad, the current state of this team, the stars that are emerging, and everything that you need to know. So, starting off with the Detroit Lions' most recent first-round pick, Sub-Zero himself, Terrion Arnold, and specifically his matchup in his battle versus Amon-Ra St. Brown, the Sun God. Now, they have gone toe-to-toe pretty much every single day of minicamp and just about every single day that veterans have been practicing with rookies. And for the most part, Terrion Arnold is holding his own versus the all-pro wide receiver. Obviously, Amon-Ra St. Brown is going to win his battles. Amon-Ra St. Brown is an all-pro wide receiver, 1,500 yards last year for a reason versus legit NFL DBs. But it's very encouraging to see that Terrion Arnold is holding his own versus the Sun God in camp. With multiple pass breakups, a fourth down pass intercept, with multiple pass breakups, a fourth down forced incompletion to get the defense off the field, and multiple interceptions already through minicamp, Terrion Arnold is making a name for himself early and making a very good impression on the Detroit Lions teammates. Now, that is not to say that Amon-Ra St. Brown has been shut down. The offense has still had some good days. Amon-Ra St. Brown still has a number of touchdowns already through OTAs and minicamps. He has gotten the better of Terrion Arnold at times, but for the most part, for this rookie being in his second day of mandatory minicamp, he looks very, very good going up against one of the league's best route runners and one of the league's best wide receivers. Now, a player that we haven't talked about in a while, but another very high draft pick from Brad Holmes is Levi Onwuzurike, a player that has yet to live up to the hype that the Detroit Lions had for him in 2021, has yet to live up to his second round stature as a draft pick in 2021. But after a strong finish to the 2023 season, being PFF's top graded pass rushing interior defensive lineman on the Lions through the last month of the season, Levi Onwuzurike has come into camp and looks like a completely different player. And I want to preface this one more time. This is not PFF's top graded pass rusher. This is PFF's top graded interior rusher out of the Detroit Lions a season ago, meaning throughout the final month of the season, he was the Lions' best option as an interior pass rusher. And this year, he comes into camp gaining 15 pounds of muscle, looking stronger, looking more explosive. And from everything that we've seen, the back injury is not bothering Levi Onwuzurike. For the first time since entering the league as a rookie, his back does not seem to be an issue, and he has had multiple sacks and a ton of pressures through the first 2 days of minicamp, getting a sack on Henden Hooker, getting multiple pressures on Jared Goff, and just overall being a nuisance in a big-time pressure machine through the interior of the Detroit Lions defensive front. And I do think that if Levi Onwuzurike can stay healthy consistently, I do think there's a chance that Levi becomes a good pass rusher, can become a good interior defensive lineman, because we've seen great flashes of it. But of course, with his back injury being a major concern over the last couple of years, it has been an issue for him to stay healthy and stay on the field. But even suffering through and even working through that injury, there have been flashes of greatness. And with Levi putting on more muscle, putting on more weight, and being great in training camp, I really do think that there is a chance that Levi at least becomes a rotational player. And if he can be a great pass rusher, we can put him next to Alim McNeil and have those two go get after the passer like they were supposed to from their rookie years. The Lions pass rush could get a whole lot better with a couple of interior and internal upgrades. Now, the next player we're going to take a look at is Jameson Williams, a player that we have talked about a ton over the last couple of weeks, but he just continues to impress. A deep touchdown catch in tight coverage over Carlton Davis, tracked the ball really well, showed late hands, got a nice deep touchdown from Jared Goff, multiple contested catches in the middle, including a couple where he has taken some shots over the middle. Jameson Williams just seems to be a completely different player, playing with more confidence, playing with more speed, playing with more power, playing with stronger hands, playing better over the middle, better down the boundary, tracking the football better with better chemistry from Jared Goff. And Jared Goff has had a ton of comments about Jameson Williams, about how he has been a better football player, how he's been a better teammate, how he's been more prepared, how he's more confident, and said that he has just been fun to watch in training camp. And I do think with Jameson Williams' first full training camp, knock on wood, that he doesn't get hurt at any point throughout this process. I think with a true first mini camp, a true first training camp, a true first offseason for Jameson Williams being uninterrupted to build that chemistry, Jared Goff and Jameson Williams are going to connect a lot more next season, and I think they are going to put on quite a show for the NFL. Now, another thing that just is a personal observation from me, I do think that Jameson Williams has put on a little bit of extra weight. Put on the video of him catching that deep touchdown over Carlton Davis. He does seem to be a little bit thicker in his lower body. His hamstrings, his calves seem to be a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger, which should help him with some durability. So hopefully he doesn't get injured this season at all. He was pretty healthy for the most part last year after the suspension, but of course missed the final week of the season with a hamstring injury. So just a little observation there as well. Taking a look at Henden Hooker, the Detroit Lions' former third-round pick at quarterback, he has had a much better day. He started off with a little bit of a shaky start, but he bounced back in 7-on-7s, had 4 passing touchdowns to James Mitchell, Khalif Raymond, Caden Davis, as well as Maurice Alexander. He had a nice deep ball to Caden Davis for a touchdown, had a couple nice red zone drills with Khalif Raymond as well as James Mitchell. He's having a pretty good camp himself, obviously still adjusting to Detroit Lions and adjusting to the NFL speed. He is officially in his first training camp, officially in his first real competitive, training camp, mini camp where the defense has something to prove and they're not game planning. And yeah, Henden Hooker had a little bit of a slow start, but he's starting to turn it around, and he is looking like a solid QB2, officially taking reps with the second string offense over Nate Sudfeld this week. Now, taking a look at Amik Robertson, the Detroit Lions star free agent that everybody seems to love, he is continuing to make an impact on the Detroit Lions. Despite not being the biggest name, despite not having the most hype, Amik Robertson seems to be making plays on the field with massive pass breakups versus Jameson Williams, Amon-Ra St. Brown, as well as a number of other players through OTAs and minicamp. His 5'8" frame is not stopping him from being a nuisance on the defensive side of the ball. And I do think that the Lions are going to find a way to put Amik Robertson on the field. I know he's 5'8". I know they have Carlton Davis. I know they have Terrion Arnold. I know that they have all of these great secondary members coming in that are going to make the team better, but I just don't see a world where Amik Robertson doesn't have some type of impact on this defense. And I do think that he will get some kind of look. I do think he will get some kind of nod at some point throughout the season. And I do believe that Amik Robertson will be a positive impact player for the defense, a great special teamer, a good defensive back. And I don't know where he's going to play. I don't know when he's going to play, but I do think he will be a strong member of the secondary, especially based off how his minicamp is going. And then we have to talk about arguably the most impressive player at minicamp so far, and that being Khalil Dorsey, who through 2 days of mandatory minicamp has 2 pick sixes off of quarterback Henden Hooker. Now, Khalil Dorsey did leave practice a little bit early with a leg injury on Wednesday. He was carted off the field, which obviously isn't very good to see. However, he seems to be in high spirits on Twitter and seems to be like maybe not the most serious of injuries. Obviously, it is mini camp, it is training camp, it is very early in the process, but he's having a great start to camp, and I really do hope that he is not going to be injured because he is a core part to the Detroit Lions special teams. He is a core piece of what they like to do. He is a massive part of the Detroit Lions from a lot of different standpoints, and the Lions are better with him on the field. So hopefully that injury isn't anything too major. And again, he had 2 pick sixes in 2 days of camp. He's having a great camp, and he is playing very, very well. But with all of that being said, that is all for you guys today. Let me know down in the comments below how you feel about the Detroit Lions minicamp so far, what your biggest takeaways are, what players you've been the most impressed with, what players we missed and did not talk about today. Very curious what you guys have to say and what your guys' thoughts are so far on minicamp. With all of that being said, that is all for you guys today. Thank you all so very much for watching, and until next time, and as always, go Lions.